everyone, and welcome to Magic Pond Craft. This is Yurgita, and what I'm starting my second part of March is my George Washington project. So I just worked about a half a column since the last post, and I finished page 26. So what you see, the whole thing here is 26 pages. And I don't know how many total stitches there are. I never counted exactly, but that's what a piece of sky in my George looks like. And I'll show you, you see, as this needle, I still have within a couple of weeks to stitch this whole piece, but I wanted to do something else since I finished the page. And let's move on and see what I'm about to continue. At least from last time. And this is Mirabilia, Mermaids of Deep Blue. And this is what I had left off a previous time. I kind of covered up the top of her head, one of the girls' heads. And I think I'm going to start tinkering again with the skin. And to remind you, I'm using Splendor silk threads. I had this as a sample, and I'm waiting for separate threads to come, but while I'm waiting, I thought I could just start getting on. And this skin is being done 1/1 full cross, and just picked my own colors and working on that. So that's where I'm starting off again in this month with my mermaids. So let's see how much I can do in I don't know, 3 days with some interruptions and stuff, or maybe 4, depends how long I can last before another project screams at me, because they're all yelling at me, I think. So let's get to work. And it's late afternoon on 19th, which is just a few days away, and I'll show you how much I've done. So this you see as what original colors would have been on the skin, and I guess correct way to say it's not 1/1, but maybe a petite, since you're doing like you know, in the 4 little mini squares what you would do in one. So I was working on this girl's skin, and I finished. So I don't know, still I'm not sure about the darkest part, like here, how it goes, although when you look up close, original, it was really dark brown there too. Maybe this is a little bit more muted colors, but I finished all of it. And as you notice, for me to figure out easier how the angles work, I did took an extra thread, which is not a regular thread. This is sort of like sulky, just a cheap type of shiny thread that I got, and I just went where the back stitching would be to kind of figure out how I wanted to position and do, you know, make it much smoother angles in there, and sort of went my way a little bit, figuring out, you know, where I would stop, because I didn't want to like do big steps in the changing colors. But that's what I've been working past few days. I also added a little bit of the cryining here that needed to be continued. So what's left is going to be beads in here and some kind of treasures. Same here, it's going to be a little bit beading in there to do. So this girl's skin is all done. You can kind of see in this part and here. So all done. It's all those big holes is going to be beading, which I'll do later. So I think I'm going to put it away for now. And the next time I'm going to start picking up her skin, and it's going to be a little bit more to do. So again, I'm probably going to do in parts. Because it is very tedious job. It's 4 times takes than what it would be just a regular plain axe. So it's 4 times instead of 1. So that's what it is, and I'll show you what I was working for a tiny bit besides this one. So what I worked a little bit is a little bit more on this corner of my spoiled child, and that's what I got. So the most of the statue I think is done, so you can see a little bit more of the shelf right here. And I'm going by what's that called, the PDF reader program. Easier to pick because there's, like I have in our designs, kind of there are a lot of mixes and single things, and I'm missing still one thread, so that's where it's a little bit hole left. And so I'm doing this very slowly. This is the main stitch big project of this month, so little by little I've been trying to add at least every few days, maybe like an hour or so of this one. So that's what I've done this. I worked a tiny bit on Snow Leopard, not as much as I wanted to, of course. That's the way usually it is. And my eldest kid, I had to go pick him up today from school. He was feeling sick. Yesterday my daughter was feeling sick. So that's just such a fun, joyful week, seems like it. So I might do a little bit this. I might get back on George since I finished my mermaids, what I plan to do for this round. So I don't know. We'll see what I feel like. I have to go to chorus practice today, and our regional competition is about to, it's getting closer. What we have 3 weeks left, I think. So it's getting into the time. So anyway. So that's when you look from further away, the kind of sort of can start telling on a statue figure. So that's it, and we'll see what I managed to do next. And it's the morning of the 22nd of March, so I've been pretty much working past several days on those 3 projects. As you can see, that's where my mark would be. I put in a what do you call it, needle. I put in needle where the end of page 27 is, and where I would have enough to make my 6,000 stitches until April 4th for my what do you call it, SAL challenge. So that's what I have left. And to show you how much I've done since March like 5th, I believe. So from this needle, I went all the way to here. So that's where the page is gonna end. So I'm slowly working on it, hammering actually. And when I get tired of this, I would pick up my different piece. So another thing I was working pretty much every day was my Snow Leopard, and I was just working, filling up all these like a khaki color spots, so it's filling up air and stuff. And I looked, and there will be some back stitching done, like around branches, and his whiskers gonna have some back stitching, so that's kind of exciting to do. So it's gonna stand out. It will be just like Dimensions one, similar, but of course it's not going to be spot to spot, because this one just gets like just a plain 2/1 and 14 count, and Dimensions I think have different amounts of threads working in different parts. Like I think like background is just a half stitch with like maybe 3 threads. But when you look from further away, it's turning out pretty good. I'm excited. The only problem is for these, like where the dots, it's supposed to be a brown color. I'm out of thread, and I looked and looked, and I'm gonna have to pull out a DMC, because that's all number 3. That's all I had left. But at least it's marked on the bottom what numbers is gonna be, like right here, you know. So those are DMC numbers. So I'll have to get in my stash. So I'm working slowly on this. And then I was pulling out my third one, which is a spoiled child. And here it is. So you can kind of see I already started hammering a third column. And the shape of a little statue is seen a little bit more, like right in that corner. So this is again my main BAP project of March. So I'm trying to do at least an hour a day for this one. And just filling up. I still haven't gotten 611 DMC to fill in those couple dots. So it's mostly for blends that I have to do, but that's what I've been working slowly by slowly. So it's gonna be boring. This whole empty spot is gonna be kind of boring to stitch, but once I get in, I think in the characters and the bottom, it's gonna be even more mixed ends, and it's gonna be just like hate is gonna be probably hell, but it will be worth it, I'm sure. So that's what I'm working. I haven't decided if I'm gonna go a little bit down until I reach something in there. I just don't want to jump, but I'm so eager to finish with this blend color and get something more. I really want to see how their faces is gonna look like. So that's all I've done in the past few days, just those 3 projects. And I think I'm gonna include something else, maybe my beloved, which I'll show in a sec. So that's kind of roughly holding from a side, and I have it loosely in a Q-snap, so at least it rests. And that's what I have right now. I think it's just gonna be these colors because his hair are finishing up. So it's gonna be like in the front, something probably like this. So that's what it's meant to look from far away, not up close, because you can kind of still see fabric showing through. I'm doing again 4 threads over 1 on 14 count half stitch continental stitch. So that's what I'm picking up. All right, let's get to stitching. So this is March 25th. As you can see, in the past several days, I worked on my beloved, and I think like 25 more stitches in the right, and will be the whole row finish. So that's what it's gonna look like as the whole width of the picture. So this is again Heaven or Design, and just working on this grayish like a background picture, and decided to stop. There's a lot of ones like scattered throughout. They're really even like a brown colors, and so it gets mixed in to make this hazy looking thing, but that's what my beloved right now looks like. So after this, I picked up my spoiled child, and that's how much I've done. So just kind of continued with the 3rd column and got in the 4th one, and it's gonna be just starting soon all the lighter colors. This is like a shading right here. And it's lots of simple stitches, but my PDF easy PDF reader helps a lot, and I'm just picking color by color. But those couple spots you see, I'm still missing 611. I went to Walmart, they didn't have it. I went to Joann's, they didn't have it. So the only place left to go check out would be Michael's. Otherwise, I would have to order it online. So yeah, so I'm just working kind of around all colors, but you can see there's just like Heaven and Earth Designs, it's only lots of blends. It looks like very uneven stitches because all those blends, different colors, kind of make it look much weirder, I guess you could say, but overall it should blend in well enough. So that's what I worked on in the past few days. Also, just like an hour a day or so, since it's main BAP of March. And then I grabbed something else. It's a snow leopard. It was a very nice day on Sunday. Today is Monday. Or it was Saturday. No, I think on Sunday in the morning at least. And like Saturday a little bit and Sunday, my daughter wanted to practice learning how to ride a bike. So I just pulled this one in our driveway and stitched little by little while she just did all stuff by herself. So you kind of see I did several hours on this work and even have one eyeball filled in. So this one still looks all empty, but finished filling in some of the spots here, continued a little bit down there, and slowly, still a whole bottom of this almost half and the side is left as a background, some in here. And it's one of my Stitch 9 challenges, but I know I'm gonna finish it because I work this pretty much like at least every other day, grabbing maybe one thread or so, and it's going well. Don't know how it's gonna be in the summertime, but by mid-fall I'm sure I'll be done, if not during summer. Depends, because I might take this as my car project, since I'll show you what I've been working as a car project. You haven't seen that in a while. Ta-da-da-da! This is my car project. All the stitches are finished. I even put in French knots, like there's one in here and 3 in there. So something fell. All of my main stitches are all done. So the only thing is left now to do back stitching and then cutting out. So I do that very slowly. It's no hurry. And again, it's Dimensions Love Snow Globe. And I know the back stitching is gonna really make it all pop, because you can sort of see the characters but not sure. So I'm very eager to start working on this. And once I'm done with this, I might pull out my snow leopard, use that as my car project, because these two are on my Stitch 9 challenge. So don't know, I might pull out something different, small, like Jim Shore's chick beaded, partially beaded, I think, at least, kit. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Also, besides these, I've been working on my George, and I'll show you right here. I have. So I moved my needle where the page 27 ends. So that's what I have a little bit left, and that would mark my 6,000 stitches. And I started kind of adding a little bit. So it's somewhere there is my start, but one more time and I'll be done with the page. So maybe in another whole month I'll have it, my the third row done. Yes, I think third row. And it's very tiring to do. It's like I want to do something totally different. So as you can see, I have a lot of full coverage projects right now working on, Beloved and Spoiled Child and this one, and I want to do something very small and simple, and I'm thinking I want to use another Stitch 9 challenge part and try to work on that. It's my stocking, and all of this done, all of it is done until we stop like in this area. And let me show you what it's supposed to look like. So it's supposed to look like this, and there's gonna be some beads also put in besides the French knots that I've done some in here. as you can see, but like I mentioned before, I'm probably not gonna stitch all this red and the name. I might just sew something on top. I don't know, I wanted that to be used by more, like, for example, Nicholas, right? If somebody else would want to take over in the family. So, I don't know, right now this is like up to the ridge of that red one, and there's gonna be a bunch of, if you can see, side by side sort of, bunch of snowflakes, which are French knots. And I've done all the tree in here already, and there's gonna be lots of snowflakes, and then the main feature is gonna be the house. And there's a little bit more snow left for me to do in here, so I might just grab on. I know the winter is over, and right now it's kind of sort of a spring weather. Yesterday we were in the t-shirts, today we're light jackets because it was stormy, rainy, and thunderstorms were rolling through the afternoon. My son had his confirmation class, which is 8th graders, like 15 of them had a study class in our home, so me and my daughter kind of stayed away, and we spent all those hours in the driveway with the bikes and stitching. So right after in afternoon it was changing the temperatures, and the wind started to get cold, so I have kind of sniffles now too. So let's get on with this, and I think I'm gonna finish maybe that tiny half almost row to finish off the page, and that will be done with the challenge. So I'm gonna have a whole week that I don't have to touch my George. So that's gonna be exciting. So that's where my Santa is, and today we have a Girl Scout meeting where we're supposed to play with clay. I might show if we do anything interesting, what we've done. So let's get on to work now. So it's Thursday the 28th of March, and I finished all of my stitching on this Santa's Journey stocking by Dimensions, and I'll show you what it's gonna be looking like when it's fully finished, except probably this part, which if you remember mentioned before, I'm just gonna take some probably fabric and edging, and I'm not gonna put like a stitch all of this and put a name. And there's gonna be some beads involved in greenery, like a tree, but I've heard that some of the dimension beads, those golden ones, sometimes like wash off or something. So I'm gonna try when I wash this fabric, and I'll show you what it looks like. So that's my whole stocking, and I've done all the stitching, all the back stitching. Just finished the house was my last stitches, and as you can see, it's only like a bunch of French knots, but not beads. So all the couching is done. The only thing after washing, I'm gonna have to like put the rope in there. As you can see, like this green, that's pretty much almost a free form, just attached in a couple places to hold it, but that's it. I already put in my initials like JP and 1 and 9. Very hard to see, you have to kind of know to find it, but all the stitching is done, so I'm excited. It will need to go into wash, and it's what, the third, fourth thing would be in my finishes of the March, maybe third, but this is one of the bigger ones, and I'm excited. I'll have a separate video. I've been taking like hourly pictures for this, so you're gonna be able to see it grow, you know, little by little, and maybe then we'll see how I decide to finish up there. And I'm probably not gonna use backing. That's a simple one that's included in here. So that's that. And as for the stitches, threads, I have still enough left. As you can see, my braids are a little bit messy, but I had names written down along the numbers, so I can kind of double check. And it's right now looking messy, but it did the job. It did the deed. So I'm excited, and it needs to go to wash. Hopefully today I'll have a time, because I have a pick up kid from school, get the dinner stuff, and I have a meeting later on tonight in like west side of St. Louis. And I know the Cardinals game opening, I guess, is today. So it's going to be traffic probably by the bridge. But we'll see how it goes. So that's all. I'm excited. All the stitching is done. All of that thing is done. And it's my first, I think, biggest dimensions project that I've done so far. There's going to be bigger ones coming up. But that's all. Alright, so let's go to get washed. So put my Dimensions Santa stocking to soak a little bit in soapy water to get all the dirt and dust out of it, and check out if beads gonna be washed out. But meanwhile, I wanted to show you, I just finished page, what's that, 26 I believe, or it's 27 in here. So I did my challenge, just over 6,000 stitches from here to there, that big block. So I think one more month and I'll be done with the row 3. So it's exciting. I can put this until what, the 5th of April. That's when the next challenge timing starts. So I'm glad this is working out. Again, this is my George project. And I'll show you what I got in the mail. So, if you remember, I've been collecting this Country Cottage Needlework Santa Village pieces. So I have, I think, like only 2 more left. So kind of slowly adding one by one. This is Santa Sleigh Works. I haven't gotten any of the beads yet, so I figured out first I'm gonna go with the patterns, then the beads. So that's one. Then, if you remember, I've been using a Splendor silk for the skin tones for all my Mirabilias now. But on 1, 2, 3 stitch, I found only 2 colors that I needed out of 4, I think, or 5. So at least these ones I have now more than that sample I had. So this is $8.94 and $8.95. So it's nice and shiny silk. It's 12 ply, not like a 6. Then I got a couple Mirabilias, again to add my collection to be stitched. And this one, Siren and the Shipwreck, if I remember. Yep. So you can kind of see I still need, it's going to be using water lilies and some beads and of course treasures. And there were going to be blends, but I haven't decided yet what color fabric to stitch. Some call this as like a mermaid and, oh, what you call that? Chandelier. Somebody was laughing like one mermaid got a blue heart like from Titanic. This one got chandelier from Titanic. That's I thought that was hilarious. Again, I think I would change my skin tones for this because I don't like how this looks like a blotch. So I think if you stitch 1/1, it would stand out more. But all those treasures gonna be in a head, those cute little flowers, and then in a chandelier. And then I thought something different would be like this. I think it's called Christmas in London. So it's gonna be big and busy stitch. I don't think it would be worth it to stitch on over-dyed fabric because of so many different things happening. You know, all those little parts here, I would want to see it. So if you put on a dark fabric, I think it would not work well. And then I got more smoky pearl Belfast linen, possibly to do one of the Dancer Prancer, all of those reindeer for that collection. So this is what I got for Stitchy from 123 Stitch. Also I received yesterday, I thought I would try from AliExpress, this kind of SKC Q-snap. So I'm gonna try this out and see how it works, if it's holding tight or not. I've heard some ladies tried it and it wasn't bad. Actually, it was pretty much almost the same as a Q-snap's brand, real brand. So I'm gonna check that out. And I got from AliExpress also collection of 30 count thread holders that you can also stuff the needles in. I've used something like this before, and when I calculated, it came less expensive than like getting one 50 count versus two 30 count. So I got that. I have a lot of big projects that all of this would not fit in, of course. So that, and tried out this little snips that has this lid. It came individually packed, so you take off the lid and it automatically is open. So if you want to close it, you kind of have to put the lid in. But I thought it's a small little snips like that. I'm gonna try out. It was very cheap, of course, and we'll see how well it works. So at least it's good that, you know, with the kids you don't have to open the scissors wide. So that was all my shopping. I've done some threads at Joann's to kit up, and again there's still some that they seems like never have replacements. It's always empty. So, but it's exciting. I have to put it all this away where it's supposed to all be and figure out which project I want to use these thread sorters for, and we'll see what the next project I can stitch before I grab my Santa's Journey stocking again and put the beads on them. Okay, till the next segment.
Reached out to Rutha and we started corresponding back and forth, and Rutha asked, would you be interested in reading a galley copy of the book? It's an unpublished copy, but I could send it to you. And she did, and I couldn't put the book down. And a few months later, the book was released by Penguin and had a very successful release. It became a New York Times bestseller right away. And the following year, Rutha did come to Los Angeles, where she had a presentation of the book at the Lithuanian parish. And I introduced her to Vida Makavičius, who is the director's mother. And she told Rutha, my son makes films. And that was an important step in the book becoming a film. So the following week, the director, he contacted me, would you mind putting me in touch with Rutha? And I did. And for Rutha, it was important that this story was told by Lithuanians. If she were to have sold the film rights to a Hollywood studio, her guess is that the film would have ended up in someone's drawer and never gotten released. But to Modus, it was very important that the film became more widespread. And Modus, his other film, The Other Dream Team, it was shown here in St. Louis a number of years ago, and it was very successful. It was about the Lithuanian basketball team in the '92 Olympic Games. And it was the first time as a free country that Lithuania was playing in the Olympics, and their final basketball game was against the Russian team. And these were the same people that they had played on the same team when the Soviet basketball team was involved in the Olympics. And Lithuania won a bronze medal against their former teammates. And for them, bronze was even sweeter than winning the gold. And it's also the Olympics where you saw the tie-dye t-shirts. And this was an idea that came from Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead. He heard about the story of Lithuania not being in a very sound financial condition at the time, and so he reached out in the newspapers to help promote these T-shirts, and through the sale of the T-shirts that you could see walking up and down the streets of Barcelona, they were able to fund the Olympic team to go to Barcelona. But then let's
And now is March 1st in the morning, and I want to show you that I've done a little bit more. I worked about almost an hour on my snow leopard, so that's where March left it. So it's getting well into it. I'm getting more excited to stitch this guy or a girl. I don't know, is it girl or guy? What do you think, guys? So it still looks weird with the one eye undone still, and just slowly getting into it, and we'll see what April brings us with this snow leopard. Something probably closer towards the ending, maybe you know, something like this much done. Maybe I'll finish the face without the back stitching yet. We'll see. So that's one of the things I worked in the past few days. And the next is the Brooks Books alphabet. So I had only A and B done, so it took me just under 3 hours, and I created the letter C, which is crochet hook, which is done entirely in number 8 braid of acrylic. And this was, you needed to use 6 strands to do all this, like a back stitching. So a little bit acrylic in those dots. I don't know what they're supposed to represent, but I've done it. So right now I have 3 letters. This pattern again is free on the Brooks Books website. And yeah, so I started and finished practically in one day. Slowly still watching Flosstube. So that's another thing I worked in the past 2 days. And let's go to my spoiled child, which was the main BAP project for March. So you might not be able to tell a difference, because I think I did only like an hour, but this is, you know, like 30 by what's that, 50 practically, all done in a month, I would say. So it's good enough for me. It's a lot of singles stitches with you know, lots of blends, of course, but I'm happy. I started with the corner, and pretty much that statue is done. So that's where my spoiled child is left with. I haven't decided which big project I'm gonna pick up in April, but we'll see what I grab when you see it. And the last stitching I'm done is this Santa's Journey Stocking by Dimensions Gold, and I needed to finish like all some of the back stitching, and let's see, I finished it, and there are some beads. I'm gonna put a separate video about this project. It was first the big dimensions for me, and of course this cording I did, and actually I used a special tool. That's how it looked in the bag, is by Acrylic Custom Quarter, and it was slightly different instructions for this versus like a dimensions, because they didn't think you would have something like this. So they had instructions how to do that. So let's see what I've done. Ta-da! It's all finished. Of course, it's not cut out yet, but it's been the whole thing has been washed, and all the beads cording I attached with like invisible thread, and I put beads that was included in the kit, and there's some here, some thrown in here. Majority of them were on the greenery. There's one in here, I don't know why, but it was there, and in a tree. So those are beads. So it's all done. Just need to have it cut out into a stocking. You probably noticed I decided not to do this top stitch as a stitch, so I'll have to attach some different like fabric or ribbon or something, and I have enough fabric for that. And what I've also done, I took a box that I got like from secondhand shop, and I moved all my dimensions threads onto these bobbins, at least temporarily. So you can kind of see how much of the thread, of course the red one, I have a lot left, because that's where that name border has to be. And all those beads still left, some of them still attached together kind of thing. The yarn is supposed to be for a cord to, you know, get it hanging. So right now I'm keeping all dimensions threads separately. I marked it on the bottom, like you can see in here. Like I wrote that dim like dimensions, and I was writing a number, the name, and actually cut out little thing that was hanging on for now. So just had this box, and I figured out I might as well use it for this. Still need to figure out how to, you know, separate them so they don't mingle too much. And I don't, right now it's a perfect height to stand for them. So that's all. That's what is, I think, in this box where my dimensions kit threads, leftover threads, gonna be sitting in. And I'll have to maybe put in some stitching on top or something, because that's like a decoupage thing. But it's exciting. I finished after midnight on the 31st, but I'm still counting as the March finish, because I didn't go to bed yet. So all done. Yep, and it's, you can feel it. I'm running through it, and it's holding tight right now. So you'll see more talking about this one in a separate video, but that was my last stitch done. I had Saturday and yesterday lots of things happening with Lithuanian group. We had Consul General of Lithuania in Chicago and Honorary Consul of Lithuania in California come, and we watched, there was a movie for free screening presented that's called Ashes in the Snow by Ruta Shepetys' book. And then we had dinner. Counselor gave a speech, and we had entertainment from Chicago that we invited, and we had music and good food and nice chatting. And then next day we took a short kind of tour around the St. Louis and Lithuanian church to show to Counselor and his group. And we had a lunch, and then they left. But it took pretty much 2 days out of my stitching. So it was exhausting but fun few days. So I was glad that I managed to finish this right before it, before the March is over. So that's that. All right, now I have to put it all together, all those little snippets of videos of my past 2 weeks, and do my monthly overview of everything. Is sort of in a shorter version than this, and so I have my work cut out for me. All right, till the next time. This was Jurgita with Magic Pond Crafts, and you can also find me on Instagram at the same name. And don't forget to click like, subscribe if you haven't done it, and put the comments. What do you think about this and other projects that I worked on? Till later. Bye-bye.